everyone, and welcome. Here we are in June, and we're going to do a pretty ambitious flowing yoga practice today. We will need a stick, somewhat optional, and then some weights, optional, but you'll see I'm going to guide us through weighted exercises. My beverage for the day I think of as a true summer beverage. I am drinking a decaf coffee. So when it comes to yoga and Ayurveda, we're moving into the fire season. I probably didn't need to tell you this if you've ever experienced summer. We're looking at the element of heat, right? So we've got fire and a little bit of water, hence my clothing color choices for the day, which is what brings us the heat and humidity of summer, and also the heat and humidity of related issues. So I know a lot of people feel sticky, uncomfortable. There's something called the heat hypothesis, that in warmer areas we have more hot emotions like anger, irritability, so we need to do things to cool it down. Now, if you're like me in Southern Ontario, we are not into the hottest parts of summer yet. In fact, we've barely even warmed up. So this is the perfect time of year to adapt for the heat, hence the weights and the more vigorous practice today. But the reason I drink decaf is because it's not overheating. So if you are a coffee lover like me, summer is a great time to have decaf so we don't overcook, we don't overburn, we don't overdo it, but we still get that lovely coffee flavor that we just gotta have every day. And if you're like me, a true coffee lover, I will drink anything hot out of a cup. Might need a little bit of almond milk in it sometimes, might need a little bit of ice cubes or something like that to make it what I need for the day, but pretty much I will have anything. So if you are like me and you love your coffee, you might notice an increased drive for caffeine in the summer, in which case we can still feed that desire without overdoing it. Other people find an increased drive for spicy foods, so we can favor things like ginger, not too spicy, barbecue stuff, meat. Go easy on the meat. You can have barbecued vegetables instead to, again, still feed that desire. And then alcohol is the other one. Often people feel that they have this real crave for, especially like hard liquor, something really hot like whiskey in the summer. The best tip is if you're going to drink, just go for a little bit and then really lots of ice cubes and other stuff like that. So we still get that fun kind of summer drink feeling, but watered down so we don't overdo it. Okay, what are we doing in terms of our weights? So we've got our stick for mobility and also stability. So we'll use it for balance. If you have a strap, you can use that for our mobility exercises at the beginning, and then towards the end, if you don't have a stick, a chair or a sturdy wall will be fine. We'll be using weights, a set of light weights, a set of heavy weights. I don't know what's going on in your life in terms of your fitness. I find this is a time of year, this is the busiest time of year for all my fitness programs, exercise programs. There's so much more interest. People have energy. We've gotten over that kind of transition into spring that leaves us feeling super sluggish and tired. But I don't know how heavy you want to go. We'll be doing shorter sets, which means we can go a little bit heavier because I want to get more variety in. If you do a ton of heavy weightlifting, if you're tall, if you're strong, you might even want to grab like 15-pound dumbbells. I am a shade above 5 feet tall. So if you're tiny like me, I got 2 pounds and I got 5 pounds. If you are new to weightlifting, even 2 pounds, even a water bottle in each hand will be enough to give us some resistance. Here's the tip I want us all to get for safety's sake. We want to go heavy enough that we feel the muscle so it increases our kinesthetic ability, our body awareness. It gives us more. If we go too light, then we're just flinging around in space and we have no awareness. We're more likely to get injured. And if we go too heavy, if you notice you're really clenching your jaw or something weird is happening to your body in order to pick it up, then we're losing our form. So we want to find that Goldilocks spot where we feel enough resistance that it gives us increased awareness of what we're doing. We're more careful about our form, and we don't want to go so heavy that we are unable to maintain our form. When in doubt, we can just do it without the weight. Cool? We're gonna start with our stick. So whenever you're ready, I know I talked a lot, we're ready to dive into the pitta season, we're feeling hot, grab either a stick, a strap, or we can do this with nothing, but you'll see as I cue us through that we will add a little bit of oomph to this pose with our stick. And if by chance, I forget to say this sometimes, if you don't have a high ceiling like me and you are quite tall, you know, if you're a tall person in a basement apartment, we could do this kneeling so that you are not hitting the ceiling. I know sometimes yoga studios too have really low drop ceilings, so we can always do it kneeling or seated. Okay, we're going to use our breath and movement to clear our mind. Matching breath and movement, inhaling up, exhaling down. There we go. Big breath in overhead, and then we can release. Here's what I like to do to activate our core. Inhale, ribs expand, and then exhale, draw the abdominals in as this comes back down. Ribs expand, abs pull in. As we inhale overhead, we can pull the arms away from one another. So that's where our stick gives us a little bit of added, and I know, sorry, maybe I should have been a little bit smarter when I set up my camera earlier. But we'll pull our arms away from one another as we lift our stick overhead, because then that activates our muscles and can help us get our shoulders back and down as we go. If mobility is an issue, we're taking hands wider. So that's another option. See if we can clear our minds of whatever has happened earlier today. And just get into breath, get into body. Some of us may be quite bendy. We like to take the arms to the biceps, We take the biceps to the ears or biceps behind the ears. And then some of us, I know we're going to be bending elbows. We're going to do a limited range of motion, but we can all be working towards that same edge of our range of motion, pushing enough so that we feel stuff opening up, but not so far that we feel we are doing damage. Okay, the next time it's down, it's going to stay down. Let's take it to rotation. We'll do more of a Tai Chi stance. Arms go out straight. We can inhale, pull the elbows back, and then exhale as we twist to one side. Whoops. Inhale, pull the elbows back. Exhale as we twist the other way. So we are warming up rotation in our spine and also rotation in our core. Since we're doing a more muscular focused class, let's focus in on the muscles that we are driving from the hip and our abdominals to get us into that rotation. Yes, we need to lift our heel to pivot through. And we can still be pulling our hands away from one another on the stick. And I like this pull back because it reminds us to check our posture as we go. Some people like to do a really sharp exhale too. So we'll go once more each way, and if you like, we can do that kind of sharp exhale. Okay, what are we missing? Our lateral flexion. So we'll start with our arms overhead, and we're going to tip side to side. Just in case we can't take our arms overhead, I will give us a modification for that. So if our arms can't be overhead, we might actually like to take our hands in behind. Inhale, center, and then exhale through the movement. So as we're exhaling, again, we're pulling our abdominals in, and our inhale helps us prepare, expand our rib cage. This is sometimes called reverse breathing, or can sometimes be a little bit different than our other yoga stuff. It's fine, it's all good. And yes, if anybody does like that big range of motion, we can be doing it side to side up here. Since our feet are a bit wider, this can take out, I don't know if I even want to call it a bad habit, but mindless movement. Sometimes we end up shoving the hips side to side, and the focus of this should actually be on the rib cage and the upper body, not the hips. So we're stabilizing through our hips. If we can figure it out, we are drawing our feet towards one another without them actually moving. Okay, once more each way. We've been here a little while. Okay, we're ready to release our stick. We'll put it off to the side for now. Just careful if we put it on the floor Don't put it somewhere that it is going to roll towards you and then by accident you are going to step on it. This often happens. Okay, we need space to step wide on our mat. So if you have your mat set up like a diving board to face me, we're going to need to turn to face the side, but turn whichever way makes sense for you in your own space so you can see me and still feel confident to execute these movements. Sunflowers and moonflowers, a seasonal pose. So let's feel out the bottom range of motion where we have control. Maybe we drop a little bit lower to feel a touch more stretch. And then we'll stay in that control range as we move through. As we've been doing, inhaling up, exhaling down. We can shift our tailbones back to give us more space to drop into. So a little alignment pointer. If we're trying to drop straight down, not really enough of a hole underneath us to move into, but if we take our butts back, there's more room for our bodies to lower into. It's more effective use of the muscles of our thigh and bum as well. That's one thing that we really miss. If you've ever been taught to tuck the tailbone, we can't use these muscles. And our glutes, the muscles of our bum, are our secret weapon in terms of back pain and all sorts of other issues. So it is important and healthy to develop them in order to have a balanced body, reduce pain, have more control of very many things. Okay, one more to the top, big stretch up. Let's meet at the bottom. We'll take hands to our hips, turn all 10 toes forward, side lunge or skandasana, we may know it as. So we'll bend one knee at a time. Let's do the same thing. Bend the knee, but we gotta shift our butts back in order to create this hole for our bodies to drop into. Maybe it makes more sense if you look down. If I just bend my knee and try to go straight down, my leg is kind of in the way. Whereas if I shift my butt back, okay, now my body can drop into that hole. Okay, we lower and lift. And for today, let's take fingertips to collarbones. We'll just open up at the top like, yahoo! And then at the bottom, fingertips stay at our collarbone, shoulder area, reminding us to keep our shoulders down and back. So even though we are coming down, we're coming toward the floor, we're not caving in, collapsing, giving up towards the floor. Okay, just one more here to the bottom. And then let's take it to the other side. Might need to reset, and then in our own time, our own pace, we're lowering down. You might want to take a moment again to set up. Make sure as we bend the knee, our hips come back, so we get a crease through the front of one hip. A little bit more of our body weight should be in the outside of the foot and the heel, so that we're not gripping with the toes or caving into the inside of the foot. Any of these wide-legged positions are great for most of us who pronate or have the inside of the foot drop in. So we may even be aware of a little stretch in the outside of the straight leg ankle. Let's make this our last one. We'll bring our hands back to heart center. Let's step our feet together, and we can step up to the short edge. We won't need too much space for this. Chair pose. So we're going to keep working on this theme to stack our joints, have our alignment strong. We're going to shift our butts back. So we create this hole underneath ourselves to drop our butts into, right? If I try to go straight down, my legs are in the way. If I take my butt back, now I have this space under my butt where an invisible chair would be to sit in. Okay, we lower and lift. Maybe we like that variation of fingertips to shoulders or collarbones. And if we like to circle sweep, we can. Inhaling up, lifting our hearts without thrusting our hips forward, and then sitting down at the bottom. Okay, so our legs are almost completely warm. I hope we are feeling warm here. We are feeling the heat of summer in our bodies. Just two more here. Okay, let's do a big tall reach overhead. Imagining that we are drawing more vitality and energy in with our inhale. We'll bring hands to heart center. We will do our flight of the bird, alternating a step back. I do this one all the time. I'll give us a different variation today if we're comfortable with it. So normally our flight of the bird, we alternate back. We'll start that way. Whenever we're ready, right and left or left and right. Doing, again, thinking summer, we might be hot but still want to move. A short stance back. So instead of our gigantic warrior one pose, just a short step back so that we don't overheat, overcook ourselves. You know that feeling when it like bubbles up from within and you're like, I'm uncomfortable and I'm getting, maybe you're a little prone to anger. Feel that irritation that comes. So we can go a little bit easy, but I do want to warm us up for our warrior ones to come. Getting a stretch for the outside of the ankle, outside of the foot. Again, more body weight is in our heel and the outer edge of the foot of the back leg. And careful that we're not falling back as we go. We still keep our intensity forward. Once more each way, I'll show you our second variation, and then we are going to grab those weights. Okay, we're going to change it to step forward. So let's have some room in front of us to move forward. And actually the arms I like to do as we do this are to reach one arm forward at a time. So if you've ever been to a more boot camp style sculpting class, this is generally how we step forward. I really like to do this one because I do a lot of work with yoga for longevity. And where do people maybe not go so great in their longevity journey is that they lack the ability to catch themselves as they step forward, so they stumble and fall, break a hip, and it can really send their health going in the wrong direction. So we need to practice catching ourselves. It could be a tiny step, or if we really want to go for it, a big step. And I like to have that one hand out in front, just in case. Maybe we do a little stumble, we can catch ourselves. And then the added benefit as we are picking our energy up at this time of year, we get a different stretch in the back foot and ankle. Whew. Okay, this has been a pretty repetitive warm up. Let's just go once more each way. We're going to get into our shorter sets. We'll come up to the top of the mat. We're going to grab our weights. Let's start the same kind of pattern we already did. And we're going to do long reaches with our arms. So we're going to start light for now. So that might mean just 2 pounds. I hesitate to use 1 pound. It just doesn't seem like enough to give us that feedback to control with our muscles. And then if you do a lot of delt work, you might want to go as heavy as 8, but that is pretty heavy. We are going to step wide on our mat for our sun pose that we already did, but we are going to add our weights. Let's lower down like we did before. We're going to find that position of stability. We're going to shift our butts just back enough that we can lower down, feel our inner thighs working, feel our butt muscles working. Okay, we're going to start maybe a little easier and then get a little tougher for our coordination. So palm to palm, and then we just lift to shoulder height. We keep palms down. Legs stay exactly as they are. So this one's pretty easy for most of us, I would think. We're just lifting and lowering. Do one more here. And this time we're going to turn pinky to pinky, palms forward. If we would like a different angle, we can reach in behind. As our arms reach up, our shoulder blades slide down our backs. And we're just breathing evenly here. So I know we were matching breath to movement before. We could still do that if we find a comfortable pattern. Otherwise, we're breathing evenly. Our core stays in. Last one here. Okay, our coordination. We're going to watch our arms. I don't know what it is about this one. People find it tricky. So let's double check that we are still in a comfortable range of motion, giving ourselves challenge. Usually our legs are very smart and very efficient. They start to lift up. Let's make sure we're still where we want to be to feel challenge. Like we're doing a bicep curl, okay? We're going to lift up to shoulder height with arms bent. Let's take a look at our arms. Palms are down, and our hands are at the same level as our elbows. Why do I say this? Because most people lift like this. The wrist goes bent, the hands come up, and the elbows go down. So we're probably not going to hurt ourselves if we're moving like that. It's just not an effective way of working our shoulders and our posture. So palm to palm, and then palms down. Hands and elbows are at shoulder height. So everything is at the same height. If we take a look at our shoulder, we're lifting our elbow to the same height as our shoulder, lifting hands to the same height as our shoulder. Are our legs burning? Maybe. 2 more here. Okay. Let's turn all 10 toes forward. Remember those side lunges that we did? We're going to do the same sort of thing here. This is more of a fun coordination challenge that I like. We actually might need to move further back on our mat because we're going to put the weights down. I don't know what kind of flooring you have, so if we have space in front of us, we can put the weight down on the mat. And it looks like this. So we're going to do a side lunge, side to side. And then we're going to add our row. We're going to put the weights down, and then we're going to pick the weights up. We'll do about a full minute here. I'm going to keep an eye on the clock on my wall. Follow me whenever you get the neck, okay? So we're going to put the weights down and then pick the weights up. So we're getting a side-to-side lunge challenge, but we are also getting some rotation through the upper back. We're getting some work for the back of the shoulder. Some of us might have one hand to thigh as well as we go through. I don't know what's going on for you in your life. You might be moving much more slowly. That is the halfway point. If the floor is really far away, could we just be faking it? Yes. Could we be faking it with the weights or without the weights? Yes. It's all good. So there are a lot of moving parts here. Whew. Hope we're getting some stretch, some strength, and we just got 10 seconds left. Lift that elbow up and behind. And then the next time we have our weights in our hands, that's it. We can stand tall. Okay, let's walk those feet together. We're gonna go for heavy weights, okay? Are we ready? We could drop our light weights. We might like to squat to put them down. Maybe we need to be a little bit more careful about what we're doing. Okay. We'll press overhead. A tough one for lots of us, so I'll show us how we can do it as a shoulder challenge that's less of a mobility challenge, and then add on as much as we like, right? I'd say a third of my clients have issue with one or both arms reaching overhead for whatever reason, okay? So let's start. Easiest, I would say, or most doable. Feet are shoulder width apart. Our hands are holding our weights. We're gonna lower and lift. Okay, probably the most doable, right? Next level is to take our weights to our shoulders, pinkies forward. So we're still supporting the weight in front of us. Some of us might even want to rest the weight on the shoulder. We're going to keep going. It's going to be a long set so we can get all the weights in. Maybe we're lifting, or get all the modifications in. Maybe we're lifting weight from shoulder to ear height. Maybe shoulder to the top of the head. Maybe shoulder overhead. Let's go 8 more from here. Whatever variation we're doing, we're standing straight up and we're lifting the weight without our body posture going anywhere weird. So let's be careful that we're not lifting and thrusting those hips forward. We're just standing straight up. Whatever we're doing, 2 more. Beautiful. Okay, we got one more heavy one, and we won't do too many of these as we've been doing some shorter sets. We'll do our flight of the bird, so we're going to step back. We're going to add a bicep curl, okay? Feel free to watch me. Our thumbs are going to be up, okay? So I know sometimes bicep curls are palms up. We'll do thumbs up. We'll do a palms up variation later. Whenever we're ready, join me. So we're alternating a foot back, just like we did before. We can add that bicep curl, thumbs up, whenever we're ready. And because we've got this weight in our arms, maybe we're doing a smaller range of motion in the legs. Maybe we're doing a big range of motion. It's all good. Okay, just 4 more here, because we got a lot more work for our legs. We've got a lot more work for our upper body. You can make this our last one. If you remember which side you started on, finish on the opposite side. Going back to the top of the mat. Let's step to the back of the mat. We'll do those forward lunges with or without the weights, okay? So if you wanted to throw the weights down, well, maybe not literally throw them down, but if we want to get rid of them, we can. Otherwise, we'll hold them by our sides and we're going to stabilize to begin. Little step forward, one on either side. So this is our forward stepping flight of the bird, we could call it, or a step forward lunge. If we want to do more of a boot camp style lunge, that option is here. But like I said, I don't know what is going on for you in your life. Maybe we're just taking it easy. Let's go 2 more on each side. If our arms are starting to get tired, we could do just the legs. If our legs are starting to get tired, we could do just the arms. And then we're ready to step it together. And I believe I promised we would all get rid of our weights. Let's be careful as we put them down. Squatting to release. And let's give ourselves a little breather. Shake it up. We'll step up to the top of the mat. Inhaling, arms overhead, and then exhaling. Let's come into a swan dive here. Releasing down, big bend in the knees. Might like to rest our belly on our thighs for a moment. Give the head a gentle shake. Loosen up down the back of the legs. Those muscles have been working hard. We'll make our way back to child's. Pausing briefly. Let's walk our hands over to the right side. So we have a lateral stretch in child's here. Deep breath in. And I should have remembered to mention, yes, our arms can be bent. We're just bending our spine to the side. And take it the other way. Lateral flexion the other way. So if you had issues with that overhead press with straight arms, maybe we are doing bent arms here. Keep it comfortable. Okay, we're coming back through center. Let's come up to all fours. And we'll make our way through cat and cow. Spreading our fingers wide, pressing our body weight into our knuckles, to the tips of the fingers, to the tips of the thumbs, so that we're distributing our weight, not just in the heel, but further forward on the hand. Cat and cow, here we go. Maybe for today, we're going slower than we normally would to give ourselves a pause in between these muscularly challenging sets. And then part of the benefit of moving more slowly is that we can seek out any tight areas. So often we do cat and cow to be invigorating. At the beginning of a yoga class, let's use this as a pause and again, body awareness sensing to feel where we are in time and space. So I'm feeling a little bit of a tight spot here. I'm going to stick around a little longer, take an extra round of breath. Shift front and back, side to side, loosen it up. And then I can keep going. Feeling a tight spot here, I'm going to do the same thing. Shift around, an extra round of breath. So you can do the same thing for yourself. Finding those areas, to me it always feels like we're going off the beaten path, finding untouched areas, and then treading a little path through there. Okay. When we're ready, take a little extra time if you like. We can rest back again into child's, flipping our palms up. And always the option for down dog instead of child's is there. We've had our pause. We're ready to move. Let's do a warrior series here. We'll set up our alignment from down on the floor for today. And we're going to step our right foot forward. We can do so from all fours or child's, or if we're game for it today, let's come up into downward facing dog. Spreading fingers and toes. We'll lift the right foot to prepare. Let's press down to lift our bodies up so we have some space to move our right foot through into our lunge. And then we're planting that back foot down flat for warrior one. We've been in our flight of the bird warrior one and lunges already today, but now we're in a bigger stance, maybe feeling more stretch through the front of the left hip. Again, we can open into cactus arms, spreading fingers wide, so the muscles of the upper body are working too. We're just going to pause and hold. So we've been doing reps, we've been doing movement. Let's find some stability here. Right now we're facing the short edge of the mat. Let's put our arms forward like we are sleepwalking. And then we're going to sleepwalk ourselves over to the long edge of the mat. Warrior two. So you actually do need to, if you were facing me before, turn, face your body away from me. And then as we stack our hands over our feet, you can turn your head to face me. So this is an important step that I think a lot of people miss, is that we need to turn ourselves towards the long edge of the mat so that we're not wonky in our spines as we do the next couple of movements. Our spine should be straight up and down. It might even help, it sounds silly, to take our hand to the top of the head and then to sort of belly button area to double check, oh yeah, I am straight, I'm not twisted. We're going to take our totally straight spine into our side angle here. So we lower a little bit lower, front arm to front thigh, and then we come into side angle. So we got right arm on right leg. We could have left bicep hovering over top of our left ear, or maybe it's nice to get a shoulder opener here. We can stretch the left arm in behind the back. Firm grounding in our feet. We press down to come up through warrior two. Same warrior two legs, same straight spine. We'll come into lateral flexion. So we're going to stretch the right side of the spine now. Stretching in the right underarm. And if we feel that our spines are, okay, square to the long edge, and then nice long bend to the side, yes, okay, again, we can float bicep by ear. Maybe our left hand is resting on our left thigh, and we can actually turn the head to look towards our left hand. We'll straighten that leg, reversing our triangle, reach long and away. And then let's take right hand over right foot. Coming into triangle pose, we will come back to this one. So this won't be our last triangle of the day, but it'll be our most flexible, bendy triangle of the day. So let's feel out that inner thigh. Find that comfort edge to where we feel, okay, I'm giving my inner thigh a good challenge. You may feel it somewhere else, but that's generally where people feel the challenge in this one in terms of flexibility, is in the inner thigh. And then to release this one, we're actually going to take our hands down to the mat and we'll step back. Your choice, down dog, child's. We're making it work for ourselves. We'll step the left foot through. So if we like our down dog, we can go there, lifting our left foot, sweeping it through. Maybe it takes more than one step to get it up to the top. Planting our back foot down on an angle. So the outer edge of the right foot is down there. We can open to cactus, pause and hold, feeling stable. Let's sleepwalk, and then let's turn ourselves to the long edge of the mat. We might want to take more space between our front foot and our back foot. Again, it's about getting the legs out of the way so we can drop down. If we don't want to go too low, we don't need to take the feet that wide. We can stack hands over our feet, or maybe we want to double check our spine. Is it straight? Am I rotated? Or am I totally square to the long edge of the mat? I'm going to face us. Okay. Are we ready? Side angle. We're going to take our totally straight spine. We're going to take front arm to front thigh. Maybe we float, bicep over ear. So our left leg is working quite hard to hold us here. Abs are probably working. Maybe we feel a little shake. If we wanted to have more of a shoulder opener, we can release right arm in behind the back. And we really got to push down to lift our upper body up. Same warrior two legs, same straight spine, adding a side bend, reversing our warrior. Maybe we like to take right hand to right thigh, and then we can turn and look towards our right hand. And that again helps our alignment so that we're square and the neck is relaxed. We'll turn this into our reverse triangle by straightening the front leg, reach long, far away, and let's make our way into triangle. Stacking left hand over left foot, stretch it out, feel out that left inner thigh. And it's going to be a challenge because anytime we stretch a muscle, we actually take away a little bit of its power in the very short term within that one workout or yoga session. So when we come back and ask our inner thighs to be strong, they're going to have the challenge on their hands, which means we're going to have a challenge on our hands. Okay, we'll take our hands down. We can take our hands back to the top of the mat. Stepping back, down dog or child's. And again, we may like to come onto all fours just as an option and move through cat and cow. Or maybe looking over one shoulder at a time. Loosening up the sides of the spine. Doing a fair amount of lateral movement today. And we're going to make our way up to standing. So if we're in child's, we can just step forward. Same thing if we're in downward dog, we can step forward, might take more steps. Make our way up to the top of the mat. Reset ourselves. Okay, it's time for our heavy weights. This will be our heaviest set. This will be our probably most challenging set. So for me, I just have 5 pounds, and that is more than enough challenge to control. You might like to go 8. If you do a lot of muscular work, maybe 10s. What are we doing? Okay, so from the top of the mat, we are going to step with our right foot back into warrior 2. So remember how I said we have to step back and then turn open? And I'm actually going to turn to face us. So right foot back, left leg is bent, squaring our shoulders towards me. I said we would do some palms up bicep curls, didn't I? Okay. We're going to do coordination. So we lower and lift. Then we're going to open, rotate out to the side. We have to work the back of the shoulder. We're going to reach on an angle and then back in and repeat. Bring the arms forward. All right, that's our pattern. We're just going to do 5 more here. So we're going to do it on the other side too, don't we? Whoop. Lower lift, rotate, up and down. I think 2 more. I've already lost count. And part of the reason I did this from a standing position was so we don't take the feet quite as wide as we were doing before to give us more stability. Oh, okay. Let's turn all 10 toes forward and let's pivot to the other side. So if you can face away from me now. Our right leg is working. Right leg, knee over ankle, or maybe a little bit less bent, but if we really want to challenge ourselves, we're lowering down, pressing into the outer edge of the left foot. Palms up, bicep curl, and this time we know the pattern, right? We lower lift, rotate out so the back of the shoulder is working, extend up on an angle, and then bring it back in. So we're getting a fair amount of lower body and upper body work today. Lower body stability at this moment. Upper body's moving, upper body's working. So we have to use our brain to coordinate this upper body movement. But we also have to use our brain to tell our legs to move. Some of us might really feel the desire to move the legs as we go. We're working stability. The arches of the feet have to lift, the pelvic floor has to lift and engage. Our core muscles have to keep our pelvis still. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. Okay, last one. Bring it in. Let's release. We'll step our feet together and then back up to the top. Put our weight down for just a moment. And then we have 1 more. No, we have 2 more. We have 2 more. I lied. Let's take our thumbs up and then pull back to stretch across the chest. And it might feel nice to tilt the head side to side or turn the head side to side. Often a lot of weight stuff, as we're getting used to it, controlling the upper body, can kind of creep up here, move upward and clench. So let's draw shoulder blades down and back. Tell this part of our body, whew, we can just release, breathe easy. Okay, last exercise for both weights. Let's step to the top of the mat. I'll face us again, so we can step the right foot back and open into a short stance, warrior two or triangle. So our left inner thigh is stretching. And depending on the flexibility, we might want to keep the leg bent. I usually keep the leg straight. And this one, I don't know, we'll see how we do. We won't do too many because it's a lot of work for the sides of the waist. So we're going to take one weight down and one weight up. Remembering how we felt before with the range of motion in the shoulders, we might have the weight on the shoulder instead. So I'll show us that one as well. We're going to take our straight spine, stacking head over belly button, not rotated, nothing weird happening. We're just standing here. The only thing that's rotated out is the left foot. We're going to lower and lift like a side plank. So we're going to come down, shift our hips out of the way, still working on that same theme. We might need to bend the leg, and we might need to bend the arm. So we've added a fair amount of weight to this. Let's just do 3 more. All right. We could get rid of the weight. We could just use our body weight. Last one, lower lift. And let's do exactly as we did before. We'll pivot through center. Our toes turn forward and then towards the back edge of the mat, but we still have spine straight, square to the long edge of the mat, so you might kind of need to turn and look to check me out. But I hope we know what's going on the second side because it's the same side as the first, or the same exercise as the first. Okay, chest, shoulders, hips, square to the long edge of the mat. The only thing that's turned out is the right foot is turned square to the short edge of the mat. Okay. Right hand to right thigh. Maybe left arm in the air. Palms can turn forward if that's comfortable. We lower lift. And we know we could bend that top arm. Shifting our butts back. We're gonna create some space for our bodies to move into. If I don't shift my butt back, where's my upper body gonna go? Nowhere. So I gotta get my hip out of the way so now my shoulder and my upper body can drop in. Okay, couple more. Last one here to the top. Whew. Let's release our weights. We'll walk our feet together, step to the top edge of the mat, and we can release one weight, and we can grab our stick. Since we have one hand free, we might also want to grab a drink. Okay, so warrior or maybe pyramid pose. We know we have lots of options. Let's do as we've been doing. Step to the top of the mat. We'll work the right side as we've been doing, leading right, which means our stick is in our left hand. So if we have to do a little switcheroo, we can. Weight right, stick left. We're going to step back into a short stance with our right foot. So right foot back, left foot in the front. We're going to use our left hand for stability. We are tipping forward into a variation of a pyramid. Maybe our right toes are just tapping. Maybe they are lifted into a warrior. I might even like to reach that arm quite far forward. So like me, you might need to step back a little bit. But what are we doing? We're working a row on our right arm. So we're going to hold stability in the lower body, strength in the upper body. In case you can't see what I'm doing with my arm, I'm just pulling the elbow to the sky. The same kind of movement that we would do if we had reached down to pick something up off the floor and then we're standing up. Same idea here. Okay, 2 more, leg lifted or not, maybe both feet are planted. Stand strong, and we'll switch to the other side. Might be a little bit of an awkward transition. These are large muscles, so if you're still with me, we got just one big weight. Stick is in our right hand. If we like more space to reach forward, we could step back. Our left foot is coming back. We are prepping in our pyramid stance for some stability. Straight spine, shifting our butts back as we tip forward, right? Working on this theme. If I don't shift my butt back, where is my body supposed to go? I'm just slumping forward. So I gotta shift my pelvis out of the way so that my upper body drops into this hole that I've created. Okay, here we go. Elbow to the sky. If we want more balance challenge, we're tapping the left toes. If we want more balance challenge, we are lifting the left leg. It's kind of like a figure skater here, hovering, shooting the crown of the head forward. Let's do 3 more. All right, we are almost done. Let's drop this weight. And let's use our stick to help us stretch. Dancer's pose. We'll take our stick in, was it just in our right hand? We'll keep our stick in our right hand, which means now our left foot is free. So we're going to plant our right, lift our left, coming into a quad stretch here. This might be our quad stretch, sort of standing like flamingo or a stork. If we want to go further in our quad stretch, can we reach our ankle or hold our pant leg? Maybe the stick is not enough support. We need to hold onto a wall. That is okay. So we're challenging ourselves, moving through these weightlifting poses and then stability poses, flowing poses, tough poses, maybe more still or gentle poses. So we get sort of an interval training value or quality to this as we go, which is actually fantastic for our cardio health, but also good for our nervous system. Okay, we'll switch sides. You can switch hands and switch legs. I'll just turn to face you. So we're all still here together. Oh, and you might feel, since we've been doing weightlifting like I just did, I felt as I was lifting like kind of like a rock in my muscle. So that tells me I got to ease into it a bit more. I can't just go straight there. Might not be able to go as far as I would normally go, but then, okay, my leg is cooperating today, so we're in good form. But if that's you, if you feel like a rock in your muscle or it seizes up or spasms, just kind of try to floss a little bit back and forth, and then maybe we can get there, maybe we can't. But it is fantastic for our nervous system to work, rest, so we train our stress centers to not just be stressed all the time. We know that break is always coming, so we enjoy the break. We also enjoy the work. Keeps us more balanced overall, or at least that's the idea. All right. Put our sticks away. We are done with them for today. So again, let's put them somewhere that they won't, well, this one might fall over and hit me, as it has in the past, but place yours somewhere you won't forget about it and then trip over it later. Hydrate as much as is needed. And we're going to do one more with our weights on the mat. So we're going to set up our weights so that when I lie down, my weights are within arm's reach. Because I don't want to have to crank myself up and grab my weights and be in an awkward body position. So I'm going to plan ahead. I'm going to squat to pick my weights up, and I'm going to squat to put them one on either side of the mat. We will do a supine chest press. So when we lie down, we can use probably big weights because we're training our triceps. But we'll get there later. So for now, our weights are somewhere around the middle to the top of the mat, waiting for us. We're stepping to the top of the mat. Take as long drinking or doing whatever to be comfortable, but when we're ready, we're making our way down. Again, we can rest belly on thighs, give our hips a little shake, maybe blow through our lips like a horse to release tension in the face. And again, stepping back, child's pose or downward dog. Our calves might feel quite tight after all that standing work, and our ankle muscles, our calves have to stabilize our work. And then we'll come and take a seat, just briefly. Yeah. So all that standing work we did definitely tightens up the outside of the hip. And often what happens when people do a lot of athletic work, maybe this is you or somebody else you know, the hips won't release enough to open. So when they sit on the floor, this happens, and there might be a lot of associated pain. When I was teaching spin classes, I would get a lot of pain in the outside of my knee, and my legs just really wouldn't cooperate. So if that's you, one of the great things is the more we do this, the more it'll loosen up. Or we can take our feet further forward. and that often helps. Let's pause here. Full round of breath. Release any tension that we're not currently needing. So yes, we need some muscular tension to help us sit tall. And other than that, we're just letting gravity do the work, releasing our hips open. And we could be cross-legged if that's comfortable for you. If not, like this. And we'll come into our butterfly stretch here. So if we can bring the feet closer, usually about a foot length away from our thigh or groin area. Again, if you are really tight, we can leave the feet further out. We can lift and lower the legs. This can help them settle into a more comfortable position. Let's sit tall. We'll take our fingertips in behind to again remind us straight spine, smooth in the back of the neck, not crinkled. And sort of shooting our crown of our head forward like an arrow, we hinge forward. So we get again a crease in the front of the hips. We're working on this theme today. Straight spine, hinging from our hips. And I hope you feel this translate into a good stretch in the lower body. For the last stretch we do for the lower body, we got a little bit more to do. Maybe our exhale takes us deeper. And if we do feel pretty good about our alignment here, and we want to go further, we can take the hands forward. Or sometimes people feel like they're going to tip and fall over, in which case we might like the hands more for stability. Picturing release in our hips while we're here. Use a tad of our core strength to pull us up. I know it doesn't seem like much after we've been lifting all these heavy weights, but it does. It takes a touch of core strength to bring us up to a seated position. And maybe we just need to scooch our light weights out of the way so we can lie all the way down. Generally, the safest way to get there is to hold behind one thigh, and our long leg acts as a counterweight to release ourselves down. And remember, I said we were setting up for a tricep chest press. Look, our weights are in the perfect position. So here we go. Our feet are planted just in a comfortable neutral position. But why do I love our tricep chest press? We're going to do the same sort of position we're in our yoga push-ups, but with a weight. So most of us don't have the upper body strength to do a yoga push-up with good form. How do we build it? We build it maybe 5 pounds at a time, maybe 2 pounds at a time. Maybe you have no weights and we're just practicing good form. That's okay too. So we're holding our weights sort of like a bicep curl at the bottom. You can see my elbow is bent at 90. I'm going to press the weights straight forward, or up in this case, so that the weight is just about above my shoulder. And then I'm going to lower, hover above the mat just enough to slide maybe 2 pieces of paper under your elbow, and then we repeat. So I'm moving through that push-up position, and I would say probably we're inhaling at the top, and then exhaling as we bend the elbows, because that's when we exhale in our yoga push-up. We exhale as we bend the elbows. So maybe we even pause at the top, full breath in, and then exhale as we move. Everyone's a little bit different, right? Like I say maybe, because it might not be the right style of breathing for you. And I love the fact that we get some feedback on our shoulder blades. Our shoulder blades really should not be moving around very much in this movement. Generally, when we start doing push-ups, our shoulder blades start moving all over the place. But here, it's more controlled. We have that feedback from the mat. We can feel that they're flat against the mat. It's a fantastic way to train our tricep and chest strength so that we can do some really, really nice looking yoga push-ups with safe alignment, keep our shoulders and core happy. Okay, can we do one more here? Can we pause at the bottom? Breathe evenly, hovering. Draw the belly in with the exhale, and then we can release. Let's be smart about where we put our weights because we want some room for our legs to move. So usually we do like a reverse bicep curl to get rid of them, and then we might want to roll them out of the way. I would say just be careful. Often people will grab their weights and then move them out of the way in, again, like a bizarre sort of alignment that's not ideal. You might not hurt yourself today, but maybe one day. So we just want to avoid wonky movements with the weights. A non-wonky movement, let's draw knees to chest, give ourselves a big hug. We can draw a circle with the knees, massaging the low back, one direction and then the other. And let's check in with any tension we might be having, head to toe. So everyone's a little different. Noticing where this weighted yoga practice kind of landed in your body. We'll plant our feet wide on the mat. We'll let the knees windshield wipe side to side. Again, this is why we moved our weights out of the way. So while we're doing this movement, kind of check in with where you feel you need to stretch. If we really need to stretch our hips, for example, at this point, we can be pressing one side at a time forward. So as my knees drop to the right, I'm pressing the left hip forward and vice versa. Maybe you feel you really need to stretch your calves. We'll get there. I'll give you an option. Okay, so whatever it is, keep that in mind here as we move through our final stretches. Okay, let's bring knees to chest again. Give ourselves a good hug. Might feel nice to curl up, touching knees to nose. Let's come into happy baby. So hands on the back of the thighs. If we feel we need some passive inner thigh stretch, we can just let the knees fall open, maybe circling the ankles. If we want more of a stretch for our glutes, we can hold ankles or feet in a bent kind of squat position. If we would like more inner thigh stretch, we can straighten the legs out to the side. And if we would like more stretch for the back of the legs, we can do more of a waterfall variation. And traditionally this one is done with our first two fingers holding the big toe and then our big toe pressing in to our first two fingers. And I always like to joke, this is why we wash our hands after yoga class. But really holding wherever it's comfortable. For most people, honestly, holding calves, ankles, or pant legs is a good place to land. And then let's see if we can rock side to side to add a nice quality to this movement. Let's all come into that waterfall position if we haven't yet. A straight hamstring stretch, legs to the ceiling. We'll point and flex. Getting some stretch for the front of the foot. Let's plant our feet. Coming back into the outside of the hips, we'll come into a figure 4 stretch. I usually do this one with my back to you. I feel like it just makes things easier to understand. So let's go ahead and take right ankle over left thigh. And again, if we're thinking soothing nervous system movements, we can add rotation in. Maybe a gentle rocking instead would feel more peaceful. So big movements, small movements, they're both good. We can test them out. And then if we're looking for a deeper stretch, we can thread the needle, hold behind the left thigh, or maybe we're holding heel and knee on the right leg. If we have space, we can extend the left leg. Some of us might even be hugging our right leg. So we get that crease in the elbow into the outer blade edge of the right foot. Right elbow wraps around right knee. It is really one of those fancy pretzel-y yoga poses. If we can go there, fantastic. If we can't go there, any other variation, as long as the leg is turned out and bent, as though we're going to pick a piece of gum off the bottom of our shoe. As long as we're into that gum on the bottom of the shoe range of motion, we're moving in the same direction and the same shape to stretch out the outside of the hip. Maybe the inner thigh feels it too. And we'll do a variation of sleeping tree. So we'll all straighten our left leg, barely just enough space, and let our knee open out like a tree pose. And our arms can reach up along the floor as branches, again, maybe in a variation of cactus arms or T. Go. Super passive, breathing easy, relaxing the muscles of our torso here finally, our core muscles. For the first time in this practice, don't have anything to do. Allowing the belly to release, deep belly breath. And we got the other side, don't we? So I like to use an exhale to reincorporate that core as we lift the knee. Drawing up. Drawing the other leg in. We're taking the left ankle over thigh. We got all those variations to move through. Do a big rock. Just a little bit. Feel it out. Notice what feels good in the hips. I had a teacher once tell me that usually people who are very flexible prefer the feel of a small range of motion. And ironically, people who are tight feel better in a large range of motion. But I actually think that another element is our stress levels. If we feel really stressed and tight, we might want to move into the opposite kind of big movement. Or if we feel kind of wired, sometimes it feels nice to do a small movement. Every day is different. Let's just notice what feels good today. And if we are ready to move into a deeper stretch, add a little bit more gusto to this one, we can thread the needle, hold behind the back of the right thigh, pulling in. Maybe we want to hold heel, but we're flexing. We're not yanking our foot, trying to rip it off our leg. We're holding a solid heel that is resisting the movement, holding our knee, drawing in. Some of us, yes, might like to cradle the baby, give that left leg a big hug, blade edge of our left foot into the crease of the right elbow, crease of the left elbow is around the left knee. We're going to have our right foot planted or extended at this point. And a good rule of thumb here is that the upper body should be actually fairly relaxed. So yes, we have to hold the leg, but we shouldn't be crunching up or a lot of tension in the upper back and shoulders. We're going to be okay with gravity here. Sometimes too, it takes a second shot. The hamstrings get a little stuck and we might need to take more than one try to get into it. So we've done our active hip opener. Are we ready for our passive hip opener? We're going to plant our left foot. Strength and control as we release. Let our left knee open into sleeping tree. Maybe our arms come out to T or cactus or spreading our branches overhead. And it is the second time in this session that our core muscles can really release here. We may even like to take our hands to our belly or ribs to get some better feedback, feeling our bodies against our hands, knowing that we are for sure having a relaxed, full inhale. Abs are soft, softening further on the exhale. Full breath in, and then let's use our exhale, reintegrate that core for just a moment to draw the knee up. Bring ourselves back through center. Take a moment for yourself to do anything else that you'd like to do. Maybe something I left out of this practice If you wanted to do, I always like to do a long stretch. Maybe you like bridge pose, a deeper twist. I don't know what it is. Would you like to guess? I looked at the research. The pose that is the most cooling for the body. I think it's a trick question. When you're done doing all your final movements, I invite you to starfish pose. The most cooling pose for our body, right? No part of the body is touching any other part of the body. We can take the arms again overhead if they will go there, so we make our bodies into an X shape. And this can release the maximum amount of heat. Maybe we'd like to bring the image of water into our practice. And let's choose the right amount of water, noticing how hot we feel. We can picture that it is a hot day and perhaps we're lying on the beach or a friend's lawn. I'm a grass person. I'm going to imagine that I am lying in the grass. You may prefer a big beach towel in the hot sand. We can bring that element of water in, choosing how much water we would like to cool us off in our visualization here. Would we like someone to just douse us with a bucket of ice water? Would we like a gentle rain to begin to fall? Or maybe there's that feeling of, you know, when your neighbor is watering their grass or their plants and you get just the faintest breeze of spray. That's more the amount of water that you would like. Now let's bring that image into our minds, imagining that feeling in our bodies, letting it cool us off here. You can take a full breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. We've done a fair amount of work here today. Let's finish with enough of a rest. So I will leave us time here at the end of this practice simply to enjoy the feeling of warmth in our bodies. Picture a beautiful summer scene in our minds and experience the hopefully delicious feeling of ourselves cooling off. Thank you so much for joining me here today. From my light to yours, namaste.